He was traded from Boston in the offseason. And the leadoff man is hitting only .228. Romero's into his windup. Here's the first pitch. And it's a called strike. We're underway on a beautiful night here in Toronto. Thank you so much for joining us. Jamie Campbell is with Rance Mullinix. Sam Cosentino will be hanging out with members of the '89 Blue Jays. 24-year-old Romero on the hill for the Jays tonight. The 0-1 offering, low and away. Drafted in the first round in 2005, 6th overall, and signed to a club record $2.4 million signing bonus. So much has been expected of Romero, and this year Blue Jay fans get their first look at him at this level. Two balls and a strike on Crisp. Here's the pitch from Romero. Swung on and missed.
Good fastball from Ricky Romero. Got on Crisp just a little bit. Coco Crisp, good man to keep off the bases. He leads this ball club. 11 stolen bases, been caught just twice.
Here's the 2-2. And it's out of play.
And if you're a pitcher that has been struggling with your command, the last thing you really need is a good base stealer or potential base stealer at first base that becomes just that much more of a distraction.
Pitch on the way, and it's slapped foul. Boy, Kansas City got off to a wonderful start. By the 5th of May, they were 18-11. They'd won 6 in a row, and at that time were in first place, 7 games over 500. But they have hit many a bump since. They've had a 6-game losing streak. Currently on the end of a 7-game string. Here's their leadoff man trying to get aboard, and he slashes the ball foul. And we asked Frank White about the Kansas City problems before the game, and he said quite simply, early on in the year they were being patient and looking for a good pitch to hit, and now he finds them a little too aggressive, swinging early and getting behind early in the count.
It's all right to swing early if you're swinging at a pitch that you want to hit. It's a quality hitter's pitch to attack.
The kick and the pitch from Romero, and he strikes him out. It took him 8 pitches, but he gets the K of the leadoff man, and Crisp is gone.
He gets it with a fastball that just overmatches Coco Crisp. But Crisp, with a good at bat overall, even though he failed to get aboard, he did see a number of pitches, and of course allowed the rest of that lineup, assuming they're paying attention, to see, to some degree, what type of or how much velocity and life Romero has with his fastball.
And he opens with a strike to Willie Bloomquist, who looks a little strange wearing something other than a Seattle Mariners uniform. Bloomquist playing left field tonight. He was the shortstop yesterday in Tampa, and he slashes the ball down the line, drops it in there for a base hit, and he's on with 1 out. So while he settles into first base, we get a chance to look at the Blue Jays defensively.
Lind, Wells, and Rios in the outfield. Roland at third. Scudero at short. Hill at second. Overbay at first. Barajas behind the plate. And Ricky Romero on the mound this evening for the Jays. You talk about Willie Bloomquist. He's kind of a all-around star utility player. There's almost no position on the field that he can't play, and play very adequately. And a solid offensive player.
He draws a throw at first. In fact, he has played every position this year except first base, pitcher, and catcher. Bloomquist has done it all for the Royals.
And he also is a threat to run. 8 stolen bases coming into tonight's game.
Here's first baseman Billy Butler. And Butler had a field day against Brian Tallett and the Blue Jays when they met in Kansas City in late April. Third game of that 4-game series, Butler had 2 home runs and a double, a total of 4 RBIs against Tallett alone in an 11-3 thrashing, a game that was won by Zach Greinke, who starts tonight. Romero trying to paint the outside. He falls behind 2-0.
Sometimes a young pitcher, if he's been hit around a little bit and had some trouble with the long ball, the tendency is to start and nibble, try to be too fine, and then in doing so you start to find yourself constantly behind in the count.
And this kid can hit them far. Of course, Romero has struggled with the long ball in his last 2 outings, giving up a pair to the Red Sox on Sunday, one from Youkilis, and then a 3-run shot in the 4th inning by Dustin Pedroia. His start prior to that, he gave up 3 home runs to the Baltimore Orioles. Here it's 3-0 to Billy Butler. And there's a called strike.
At some point, if you're Ricky Romero, you have to get back to trusting your stuff and realize that you don't have to be perfect. But you have to get back to being aggressive and challenging the hitter.
Here's a ground ball. Scudero picks it up and underhands to Hill. The throw to first in the dirt, but they get the double play anyway. Ricky will take that and get out of the inning, giving up just the single to Bloomquist.
That is a great turn by Aaron Hill. Bloomquist was all over him with a good, hard, aggressive slide. He hangs in, gets rid of it. Nice play on the back end by Overbay.
Don August served it up for Fred McGriff, the first ever home run hit in this building. Mr. McGriff would hit 493 of them in his career. In some circles, those are Hall of Fame worthy numbers. He christened the building that way in a loss to the Milwaukee Brewers that night. Tonight the Blue Jays face Kansas City, and here is the modern day lineup. Toronto has dropped their last 2 games to the Los Angeles Angels, not due to a lack of effort from Adam Lind, who was 5 for 5 in the game yesterday against the Angels, and in fact has 8 hits in 8 straight at bats, one more for Adam, and he'll exceed a team record, but it is going to be tough to do that tonight. Marco Scudero, and a fair ball that bounces into the seats. A leadoff double against Zach Greinke. I was just about to say, Rance, here's the toughest pitcher in the American League right now, and what do you know? Scudero leads off with a 2-bagger.
And Marco Scudero shows his baseball savvy here. He knows that he's up against a tough one tonight, and Greinke, don't let him get ahead with a fastball. Jump the first one, and get the Jays off to a good start here early.
You've heard all about this young man. 8-1. An ERA just a shade over 1. First pitch swinging Aaron Hill.
You could tell by that first swing from Hill the intent was to hit the ball to the right side. If you're Marco Scutaro, you have to be aware of the ball. If it's hit hard to the first baseman, Butler might not be able to move over to third. He's cheating in quite a bit, not back at normal depth.
This one popped up back of first base. Butler is there, and Hill cannot advance the runner. So Aaron is 0 for his last 21. A slide we haven't seen in some time from number 2. He's the first out of this inning.
Excuse me, Jamie. Defensively this evening for the Kansas City Royals, Bloomquist in left, Crisp in center, Guillen in right, Tien at third, Pena Jr. at short, Calypso at second, Butler at first, Olivo doing the catching, and Zach Greinke on the mound this evening.
That brings up Alex Rios. Alex is certainly quick to forget yesterday after going 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. He falls behind 0-1 to Greinke. Greinke's making his 12th start of the year and second against the Blue Jays this season. For some reason, he has not fared well in this building. 1-3 at Rogers Center with a 6.65 ERA. 1-1 is the count on Rios.
Started Rios with a slider, followed that up with a big overhand curveball. And if you're Alex Rios right here, maybe you just say to yourself, 1-1, I still have the count in my favor. I've got a strike to play with. If I get a fastball here, don't get beat with it. If he flips you something other than the fastball.
There's one, and it's fouled away. What a change in velocity, Rance. He goes from a 68-mile-an-hour curveball to a 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
And now if you're the hitter, you're in a lot of trouble because you got a fastball to hit. You're a little bit late. You foul it off. And this young man on the mound just has too many weapons. And 1-2, you're in a difficult situation because now you can't sell out to the fastball. You got to protect a little bit. So tough situation for Rios. I expect him to go soft here. Would not surprise me if Greinke goes with a big overhand curveball or maybe back to a slider.
To right field, and Yan parks himself under it. And once again, the runner does not advance. So after the leadoff double by Scutaro, Greinke gets 2 quick outs. And at least to Rios' benefit, he doesn't strike out.
No, and he tried to cut down and put the ball in play, but you see where lack of execution. If Aaron Hill had been able to move the runner, that's a sac fly. The Jays are on the board. And when you're struggling, when you're really struggling, and you're not hitting the ball out of the ballpark as much as maybe they were early, that's when the emphasis on the little things really become important. You get an opportunity to pick up a run without another hit. Well, you need to execute.
So that brings Vernon Wells up with 2 gone. Wells had the day off yesterday. Cito Gaston bumped Adam Lind up into the 4-hole, and he answered going 5 for 5. Lind is on deck watching as Greinke faces Wells. Scutaro is at second base, 2 gone, bottom of the first inning. Wells was itching to get going April 29th when the Blue Jays faced Greinke. To that point in the year, Greinke had not allowed an earned run, and Wells had stated before the game they wanted to be the first. And in fact, it was Vernon who singled with 2 out and Marco Scutaro standing at second base to score the opening run of the ball game.
That first pitch, not the first pitch, but the second pitch in this at bat was a breaking ball, and Wells, a good hack at it. Looked like he was looking for the breaking pitch.
The 1-1 and a broken bat looper to right field. It drops a base hit for Wells. Scudero comes charging around to score. Wells takes the extra base on the miscue by Guillen, and the Blue Jays enjoy a 1-0 lead.
Well, Vernon Wells didn't hit it hard. It broke his bat, but able to dump it in front of Guillen in right field. Guillen was not going to be able to throw Scudero out at the plate, but this little miscue right here most certainly could pay off for the Jays, as it allows Wells to move into scoring position. I think that ball might have had a little funny spin on it. Took a little bit of a funny hop on Guillen in right field.
Score that a base hit for Wells, an RBI. He advances to second on E9. And bring up Adam Lind, who was locked in yesterday against the Angels. 5 for 5. So Lind, if you go back to the second game against the Angels, has 8 hits in 8 straight at bats. That ties the team record held jointly by Mr. Mullenix, Paul Molitor, and Tony Fernandez. So 3 of the 4 are in the building today. 2 balls and no strikes.
Greinke, you would expect, he knows that Lind has been swinging a very hot bat. First base open, right-handed hitter rolling on deck. I don't think he will give in this situation.
You had 8 straight in August of '84. Tony Fernandez late in his tenure with the Blue Jays. 3-0.
And if you're Cito Gaston here, do you turn Adam Lind loose? You got a 3-0 count. Greinke may give in. Just try to throw take a little off a fastball. Just try to throw a strike. You turn him loose. Swinging a hot bat. Why not? Or at least give him the option.
Let's see what he does. Here's the 3-0 pitch, and he's taking all the way. 3-1. So like his start against the Jays in April, Greinke gives up a first inning run.
We'll see if they're going to go after Lind if he doubles up with the fastball here.
The Jays have Scott Rowland on deck. Here's Greinke setting at the belt. 3-1 pitch on the way. Fastball, and it's driven foul into the seats down the left field line. Adam these days seems to be making it look easy. It's not that easy to hit a baseball, Rents. I mean, if anybody knows that, you do.
He's dialed in. Yeah, I made a lot of outs. I don't think he'll get a fastball right here.
Breaking ball, and he gets a piece, and that caught Olivo somewhere.
Very good slider under the hands.
Well, while Olivo walks that one off, let's check the scouting report on Zach Greinke, who has really 3 outstanding pitches.
Yes, he does. Very good 4-seam fastball that can touch 96, 97. A slider, that's his go-to out pitch, especially against left-handers. Good curve and change, and he is confident about throwing any pitch that he has in any count, such as 3-2, the slider to Adam Lind. Adam able to fight it off.
If Lind's up there knowing that's his out pitch, does he expect it again here?
You anticipated a little bit, but again, 3-2, as hard as Greinke throws, you have to respect the fastball first and just try to hope he makes a mistake with something off speed.
Breaking ball whacked foul and just. That just missed, kissing the bag at first.
And another, what appeared to be a slider, but up a little bit.
Had the look of a slurve.
And Greinke's lucky that Lind just out in front enough. He pulls it just foul. Well, you can tell he is very comfortable at the plate right now.
A 7-pitch at bat to this point. Vernon Wells at second. He drove home Scudero. 1-0 for the Jays. The 3-2 again, and it's lined into center field and caught by Crisp. It hung up just a little too long. And Lind is gone. However, the Blue Jays get a run on 2 hits and lead the Royals.
Here on 4 different occasions, one of the most memorable players the Toronto Blue Jays ever had, and a member of the 1989 team, Tony Fernandez. When you look out into the Rogers Centre and see your name on the level of excellence, what comes to mind, Tony?
A lot of good memories. Lots of good memories. But it's a privilege to be there, you know, with a person like George Bell, Joe Carter, players like those, and Tom Cheek, the late Tom Cheek. I mean, it's just a privilege. And then we see over here, you know, Dave Steve, Cito Gaston, Gillick, Biston. Wow, I'm in the group of excellency.
And you should be, Tony. Let's go back to Exhibition Stadium. You played there in some of the cold weather. This team moves here in 1989. What were your thoughts coming into what is now the Rogers Centre?
Oh, finally, the grief is over. No, we had a good time at the Exhibition Stadium. You know, we played good baseball in there, but we were dying to have a real baseball field. So when we moved here, we felt like we found a home. We found a place where we want to be feeling more comfortable and give our best to the city. And I'm sure that everybody that plays in this park feels the same way.
You know, Tony, one more question for you. You're really a big part as Guillen grounds out to first base. Overbay takes it unassisted. But, Tony, you're a big part of the history. You go back to the 85 team, of course, the 89 team and moving here. 91, the big trade that sends you to San Diego, but ultimately helps the Blue Jays bring a World Series here in 92. And then you come back and win one in 93. I mean, what has the Toronto Blue Jays organization meant to you?
Well, it meant a lot, you know. At the time, you know, when we got traded, it was a little bit sad. Especially when they came back and and won the World Series, because in '91 they were close of going into the World Series. I think they got beaten by Minnesota, and but the following year, as you say, they won the World Series. And after you spend so many years in an organization, you wish you can be part of it. But I was happy for so many of the guys who were here, especially for Cito, that I was the mentor for so many of us. And then, but coming back in 1993 and be part of the back-to-back World Series, that was the icing of the cake.
You know, Tony, one last question. You were here on 4 different occasions. Is it possible that you would come back for a 5th stint and put on the uniform again for Cito?
No chance. No chance. I don't think so. Unfortunately, I can't see the ball as well as I used to anymore. But nevertheless, I have the uniform on already.
Yeah, very good. You look great. Tony, thanks for joining us. Congratulations on what has been a wonderful career, and welcome back to Toronto.
Thank you so much, Sam. My pleasure.
Jamie, Tony Fernandez.
And Sammy looks like he could suit up right now and get into the starting lineup. Great to hear from Tony Fernandez, who made that throw from short to first base look so effortless.
Tremendous, tremendous player. I think a lot of people around baseball have forgotten just how good he really was out at shortstop. And outstanding offensive player, one of the hardest workers I ever played with. And I'm very glad that Tony was a part of the '93 World Championship team.
Here's a bouncer over the head of Romero. Taken by Hill, an off-balance throw and a beauty to get Callaspo, the second baseman. So Fernandez watches from the alumni box as Ricky Romero gets a 1-2-3. Any other, and the most home runs hit in this building came off the bat of Carlos Delgado, 175 total, including 4 in one game against the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. One of the shining moments in the history of this building as we celebrate 20 years of Rogers Center. Here's Scott Rowland leading off the Jays half of the second. 1-0 Toronto as they face the impeccable Zach Greinke. Greinke making his 12th start, just his 4th though on the road. He's won 2 and lost 1 away from Kauffman Stadium. But he's done most of his good work in front of the home fans this year, and he misses there 2-1. Scott Rowland has had success against the Kansas City right-hander, and on 2-1, a fastball outside makes it 3-1.
So far tonight, Greinke not quite as sharp as he would like to be. He's not missing a lot, but so far in this ball game tonight hasn't been dead on with his control. Made a few mistakes in the middle of the plate, got away with one in the last at bat with Adam Lynn in the bottom of the first inning, a line drive to center field.
3 balls and 2 strikes then. Greinke deals, and it's lifted foul. You know, Rance, a lot of pitchers have command of 3 pitches and throw them quite well. In Greinke's case, it's the fastball, curveball, slider. So why is he so different from everybody else?
Just to begin with, his velocity with his fastball, and he has a better slider than most.
There's a ball hit hard to right field. Guillen is back at the wall, and he makes the catch right in front.
What happens with a pitcher that has outstanding stuff, that has very good command to go with it? That's when you really have something special, such as a Greinke or a Halladay. Nice play on the ball by Guillen. Looked for a moment like it might be trouble.
Greinke now faces left-handed hitting Lyle Overbay. Up high for ball 1, and Overbay has really turned it on lately, hitting .333 with 15 runs driven in his last 17 games. And there's a heater. for a 2-ball and 1-strike count. Lyle has hit safely in his last 10 consecutive. And on 2-1, here's the Greinke pitch for strike 2.
And we've already seen tonight in a number of at-bats where Greinke, behind an account, will not hesitate to throw something other than a fastball.
And he goes with a fastball that's drilled to center field. Crisp on the run. He's looking up, and it's gone. A line shot home run, Lyle Overbay. Make it 2-0 for the Jays.
And again, just a little lack of command, trying to get the fastball away, and it ends up right down the middle, but you still have to hit it. And as you said, Jamie, Overbay has really started to pick it up as of late and took advantage of a mistake there and hit that ball very hard.
And now Millar flies to right. And Guillen puts him away for out number 2. So Overbay picks up his 6th home run of the year. And he is really seeing the ball well these days. That's good news for the Blue Jays. Might as well sit beside Adam Lind if that's the case, because those two have really carried the offense the last little while. With 2 gone, number 9 hitter Rod Barajas steps in. Barajas has not fared well in his career against Greinke. Just 2 hits in 11 at bats, but one of them was a home run. Here's the 0-1 pitch and a breaking ball. That evens the count at 1-1. That home run by Lyle Overbay ends a string of 111 consecutive innings for Greinke without giving one up. An incredible streak. That's the first home run allowed by Greinke since September the 2nd of last year, when Derek Barton of the A's hit one. He gets Barajas to wave and miss at that, but the streak for Greinke is over. The inning comes to an end, and the Blue Jays have themselves a 2-0 lead against one of the best in the American League.
Now they're a member of that 1989 team, and I want to take you back to June 5th of '89. Of course, the first game here at the Rogers Center, but you hit leadoff for the Blue Jays at that time. 2 days later, they had the first rain delay here at the Rogers Center. Do you remember that game and what had happened during the rain delay?
Yeah, that's good memory. We remember always the bad and the good one. But the bottom line is we remember more the good one and the bad. So, we enjoy that. We just wait for the rain or what I say, or close the Sky Dome, then we can play. So then we see, in 20 minutes, this play close, and then we start again. So, that's really neat, and we enjoy that moment.
Nelson, we were just talking off camera about how tight these Blue Jays teams were. What do you think made this team particularly close?
We got nice communication. We trust each other, and we talk about the game. That's why we have good relationship after the season. Then now, 20 years later, we still in good communication, and we talk about it. What happened those years, especially when we moved here to the Sky Dome.
Nelson, I don't think a lot of people are familiar, but you're managing now. Tell us a little bit about your managerial career in the minor leagues with the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, when I find out the Kansas City Royals will be here tonight, so the special night for us, I feel really happy because I see all the guys from Kansas City. I work for them, and it's a great organization. They treat me really well too. I'm happy working for that. The same way I did it with Toronto here. So this is my third year in the manager. First year for them here because I used to manage in Dominican, the Summer League. So now this is my first time here in the States. So I'm really happy.
Nelson, thanks for coming on with us, and good luck the rest of the way in your managerial career.
Thank you very much.
Jamie, that's Nelson Liriano with one down here in the inning, tee and grounding out to Scott Rowland, third.
Liriano, thank you, Sam, manager of the Burlington Royals of the Appalachian League, Burlington, North Carolina. Good to see him back in the building. Miguel Olivo, the number 9 hitter, follows up Tino, grounded out 5-3. Rance, that team in 1989 started poorly, just 12-24, and then Jimmy Williams was fired. Cito Gaston took over. As that ball is pounded up the middle, Olivo's got a 1-out base hit. Why the change in fortune? Did it have everything to do with the manager?
I don't think it had everything to do with the manager. The change most certainly affected the, kind of the mental approach, or kind of removed maybe a black cloud, if you will, from the ball club when they made the change and went to Cito Gaston. But for whatever reason, and sometimes you can't really define it, the ball club got hot. And from that point on, after starting 12-24, had the best record in baseball.
And won the division. Dropped the American League Championship Series to Oakland in 5. Romero comes off the mound quickly and gets it to first to get Pena. He advances the runner Olivo, but a second out is recorded.
And Romero with some very good athleticism off the mound very, very quickly. He had to go a long way to get to this bunt. And then able to spin, set himself, and make a quick snap throw. When you can field your position well as a pitcher, you can really help yourself out. For a lot of pitchers, that would have been a base hit.
Back comes Coco Crisp, who struck out after a lengthy battle with Romero in the first on a 2-2 fastball. Olivo at second with 2 away, breaking ball off the plate, and it's 1-0. Crisp batting just .226. Here's the windup and the pitch. It's now 2-0 to the leadoff hitter. Well, the Royals needed a center fielder, and in the offseason made the trade with Boston to get Crisp. His time there had expired with the emergence of Jacoby Ellsbury. In return, the Red Sox got themselves a pretty good reliever in right-hander Ramon Ramirez. 3-0.
Coco Crisp, he's had a fine career, but I really thought that Coco Crisp at one time was going to become a real star in the American League because he has all the tools to do it.
Ball gets away, and that allows Olivo to advance to third on the walk to Crisp. So a pass ball advances Olivo to third. And with 2 on here, Willie Bloomquist comes back up.
You know, Crisp, a switch hitter who can really run, good base stealer. It looked as if right here that Barajas thought he had corralled the ball and finally realized that it had gotten away from him. You know, a center fielder that could really go get the ball. He can bunt, can make a lot of things happen. Very, very talented player.
And he'll serve as a distraction to Ricky Romero over there. As Bloomquist comes to the plate a second time, and that one almost gets away.
And
Rod Barajas imploring his pitcher to keep it settled.
Just stay back and don't rush. To Crisp, he got that runner in scoring position. All of a sudden, the delivery started to speed up a little bit. The right shoulder starts to fly open. That leads to the loss of command. You could see that first pitch, he really kind of jumped at the hitter instead of stay back. That was much better delivery. You see, didn't look as herky-jerky, much more quiet. That's what Rod Barajas was reminding him to do is, stay back so that your arm can catch up.
Snap throw to first, and Crisp is back in time. We saw Romero on Sunday airmail one over the head of David Ortiz in a loss to the Red Sox. Romero tonight making his 6th start of the year. So far so good. 2-0 for the Jays. Romero's given up just a pair of hits, but he has 2 on here. 1-1. Here's the pitch to Bloomquist, and it's slapped off the plate. Hill grabs it, touches the bag, gets the force, and that retires the side. A nice play made by the second baseman. Keeps this lead at 2 for the Jays. The Oakland A's back in the 80s. He has been called up, if you will, from the minor league system to replace Brad Arnsberg. Brad has gone back to Texas. His son Tyler is graduating from high school this weekend, and Brad wanted to be in attendance for the ceremony. So Langford comes up, and he'll handle the duties of the pitching coach here in Toronto for the weekend series, and then Arnsberg will catch up with the team in Texas on Monday. Brad's son Tyler has committed verbally to Arizona State on a baseball scholarship, and there is some talk that he could be drafted this week, the draft beginning on Tuesday.
Is he a pitcher?
He's a first baseman and a catcher. Slashed down the line by Scudero. With a little more on this story, let's bring in Sam Cosentino.
Well, Jamie, it looks as if Rick Langford will be here until about the 17th. Bruce Walton will be attending his daughter's graduation once Brad Arnsberg returns. And so it's a situation where Rick Langford, very familiar with the pitchers, as the Blue Jays roving pitching instructor, of course, several years as the AAA pitching coach, so very familiar with what he has here at the big league level.
Now he's the roving rehab and pitching coach throughout the minor league system, a guy who won 19 games with the A's in 1980. So he's down there yakking with B.J. Ryan and obviously knows a little bit about pitching. There's Bruce Walton, who you don't often see seated on the bench. Scudero's the hitter here as the Blue Jays in their half of the third bring up Scudero, Hill, and Rios. Marco doubled and scored in the first inning. The Jays scored their second run on a solo home run by Lyle Overbay last inning. Sliders in the dirt, 2-2.
You've seen from Greinke here tonight 2 speeds with his curveball. He has one that he throws, in the 60s, just as kind of a, get it over for a strike. And then when he wants to finish you off, he throws the hard one at about 80, 81, 82. That last one was his hard one in the dirt, trying to punch Scudero out.
He misses with the fastball, 3-2.
Did he? I thought it looked
pretty
good.
Me.
Well, just live, it looked like it was on the plate. Here you get a look at the replay.
He was close.
Pretty good pitch.
Here's a better view. Just barely. And now it's scorched to right field. Chased down by Crisp. It's beyond his reach. He was playing shallow, and Scudero has his second double. Coco Crisp was playing well in center field. Extra bases for Marco. He's 2 for 2.
Hey, he was shaded over towards right center, but this ball with the spin that it has on it just keeps going away from Crisp. Right here you can see he just can never quite catch up with it. And a great at bat by Scudero. He fell behind early in the count, was able to battle back, go 3-2, and again here get the Jays off to a good start in the bottom of the third.
And he gives Aaron Hill an opportunity to drive in a run, and more importantly for Aaron, break out of an 0 for 21 skid.
Bounce one just inside that bag at first base. Butler's playing well off the bag. If you're struggling and if you're Aaron Hill, don't feel like necessarily you have to hit the ball to the right side and either move the runner or maybe even drive him in. If you're really struggling, maybe think about drop a bunt down, and even if you don't get a base hit, at least you move the runner.
Well, he was unable to in the first inning when he flared a ball to the first baseman, Billy Butler, and it took a 2-out base hit by Vernon Wells to bring Scudero home. Well, Greinke and Olivo aren't on the same page, so they'll get together and talk about it. This is a situation where situational hitting would, executed successfully, move Scudero over from second base. It's something the Royals have not been doing over the stretch of 7 losses.
When you're going through a bad spell, the chances are you're not doing many things well. But a situation you can pick up another cheap run here, and 3-0.
I think he's trying to squeak it inside first base.
He didn't wait long enough. He's a little out in front. But you pick up another run, you go up 3-0 in this ball game, and it just gives you a little bit more breathing room if you're Ricky Romero and the Jays.
And he chases it. Hill goes down swinging. And the slide for Aaron continues.
Now you can tell by the way Aaron Hill is, his approach to these breaking balls. He's just not seeing the ball well, and his rhythm, he's out of sync.
So with one down now, Alex Rios steps in. And Alex hits it toward the gap in left center field, and it's down for a base hit. Scutaro trots home with the third run, and the Blue Jays have 3 against Greinke.
Looked like a breaking ball that stays up a little bit, and Rios wastes no time. And that has to feel good after the day that Rios had yesterday, to come up and drive in a big run here in the third. And that's just one teammate picking up another. Aaron Hill not able to move the runner. Rios picks him up with a double into left center to drive Scutaro in. And that also, not that Aaron Hill's going to feel good about striking out, but that most certainly make him feel better about the fact that he didn't execute.
Well, here's Vernon Wells. And the ball gets under Olivo. Rios takes third. And the wild pitch comes at a critical time for the Blue Jays. Still just 1 away, and they've got Rios at third base now.
Almost looked like there was a cross-up, but apparently not. No discussion between Olivo and Greinke. And when you're struggling to score runs and you're down 3-0 early, it forces the Royals here in this situation to bring the infield in and roll the dice.
The 4 infielders even at the bags, 2-0. Here's the pitch to Wells, and he chops this one to the shortstop. Rios comes scampering home. The throw is high, and Wells is safe. The throw from Pena caused Butler to have to reach up and pull it down. My. Rios scores on the play. It's 4-0 Toronto. Has Trey Hillman got an argument here?
Heads up base running by Rios, and couldn't tell by that replay. Rios read the high hop and broke right away. Good base running to score, but that's a good call. That's a nice job by Tim Cheetah, the first base umpire, to stay with that, because it's been very easy to just kind of assume. But a great job to stay with it, give it a good look, and get the call right.
It goes as a base hit for Wells. He drives in his second run of this ball game. It's 4-0 now for the Blue Jays, and Toronto, believe it or not, becomes the first team this year to get 4 earned runs against Zach Greinke. No other team has done that in 11 previous starts. Here is a reeling Royals club who are really looking toward Greinke to get them out of this 7-game slide. And the Blue Jays come out here and score 4 quick ones. Still just 1 away. And Adam Lind really battled Greinke his first time up there.
And this is the types of things that happen to you when you're struggling like the Royals are. Coming in here having lost 7 straight, you run your ace out on the mound this evening, and he hasn't been at his best, clearly. And the Jays, you got to give the Blue Jays a lot of credit too. They've done a nice job against Greinke here tonight, but it's obvious that he is not on top of his game.
One ball and no strikes to Lind. The pitch is taken foul and out of play. Adam battled Greinke. Fouled off a bunch of pitches after the count ran full, and finally lined a shot into center field. And lined out on the play, leaving Wells on base. That's a ball. 2 balls in 1 strike. Here are the Blue Jays wearing their powder blues. Of interest, Flashback Fridays have been in effect here since the start of last season. The Blue Jays are 10-7 when they wear these uniforms. Always seem to do well wearing the powder blues. Breaking ball, and he goes with it. Oh, what a hit. Scorches it to left field. And Lynn picks up his first hit of the game. Wells into second, and the Blue Jays have something going here against Zach Greinke in the 3rd inning.
And Adam Lynn is dialed in because he has not been fooled by a pitch all night. Here's a curveball, and that's a beautiful swing. Stays on it and drives it hard into left field.
You know, the last time the Royals won a ball game was 2 starts ago for Greinke when he defeated the Detroit Tigers back at Kauffman Stadium. A complete game victory, gave up just 1 earned run on 6 hits. And you know this, Rents. You get into situations like the Royals are in right now, having lost 7 in a row. When they know that this young man's on the mound, they feel they have a fighting chance to get out of that rut.
Well, you feel like even if he's not at his best, he's going to give you 7 and allow the opposition 2, maybe 3 runs. And of course, that keeps you in the ball game, gives you a great chance to win it. He's down 4-zip here early and still in a lot of trouble. And again, he hasn't been real sharp this evening.
Game of the Game is presented to you at this point. You can play it by logging on to sportsnet.ca. Your chance to win a Sharp Aquis LCD TV. Here's how you do it. Go to sportsnet.ca right now and launch it. A bouncer foul off the bat of Roland. Sportsnet.ca/baseball game is the website. Your chance to win a 52-inch Sharp Aquis LCD TV. Still just 1 away. 2 runs in for 4 hits. One and one against Roland. He lined out to right field in the 2nd. He gets under this, pops it up. Butler is backtracking near first and then gives ground to Callaspo. So Roland is the 2nd out. And Lyle Overbay, who homered his last time up, steps in there with 2 on. And this home run, last inning, ended a string of 111 consecutive homerless innings for Zach Greinke. What a marvelous run for the young right-hander from Orlando. But Overbay brought it to a screeching halt. 1 strike on Lyle. And Greinke spoke of this stretch prior to the game, saying that it would have been impossible to get that far without giving up a home run without a whole bunch of luck. And he in fact compared it to a no-hitter. His words were, quote, "It's like a no-hitter. You need a lot of luck to pitch a no-hitter, and you need a lot of luck to do what's happening to me right now." Here's the 1-1 pitch, and it goes for strike 2.
Good changeup from Greinke. That's a pitch we haven't seen him throw a lot tonight, but a great spot to throw it there. 1-1 count to Overbay. I like the way he works. He gets it and goes. Kind of like Halladay in that sense.
Slider in for ball 2.
But tonight he hasn't been able, even when he's gotten ahead of the hitters at times in this ball game, he hasn't been able to finish them off, and that's just because, again, that command it hasn't been there this evening. at least not consistently.
Whack to right field, well hit, and over the head of the right fielder Guillen. It kicks off the base of the wall. Wells comes in to score. Here comes Adam Lind. It is 6-0 for the Blue Jays.
And this is a situation where you just tip your hat to that man right there, Overbay. This is a changeup that's down, but the hands stay back, and he just goes down and digs it out and hits it so hard that Guillen, playing fairly deep, still has no chance to catch up with it. Then it kicks hard off the wall there in front of the bullpen, and that allowed Lynn to come all the way around from first base and score.
Strike one to Kevin Millar. 6 runs the Blue Jays have managed against one of the best in the American League. A man who is challenging Roy Halladay, at least coming into this start, for the title of the best pitcher in the AL.
Hey, you mentioned that Frank White said, the Royals haven't been patient at the plate. They've been swinging at too many bad pitches. Well, the Jays tonight, they've been aggressive when they're getting a good pitch to hit, but they've laid off that borderline stuff and the stuff just off the plate, and it's really paid off. Here's
the 1-1 offering. Up and in on Millar. 2 balls and a strike, and already the bullpen starts to stir as Horacio Ramirez, the left-hander, is up and throwing. This is not something the Royals have seen often when Zach Greinke's on the mound. It's only the 3rd inning. And Millar grounds it softly to Pena. He goes over to first for out number 3. But the Blue Jays put 4 more on the board against Zach Greinke. It's 6-0 Toronto.
Here on the Rogers Center scoreboard, it's 6-0 Blue Jays in the top of the 4th, joined now by Kelly Gruber. And it had to be pretty neat seeing the highlight of you hitting for the cycle there, April 16th, 1989, before the club moved to the ballpark. Tell us a little bit about that day.
Well, I didn't really actually know what a cycle was, so it was something brand new to me, and I know that sounds kind of funny, but it was the way it was, and after the fact I knew what it was. I was thrilled. It was one of those situations where I thought, well, let's see, I have a double, triple, home run, and everybody's saying all you need is a single now, and I'm going like, well, how hard is it going to be to please these people? I was a little worried about it.
You were a fan favorite here for so many years. Why do you think you endeared yourself to the fans and the fans endeared themselves to you?
Well, I've always been brought up to do more giving than taking, and this game is very humbling. At the same time, the prices that these people pay and they come out to watch, if they think I'm good enough for an autograph, by God, I should sign it. And besides that, going out here and playing, you're getting paid that kind of money. You can spend everything you have out on that field. It's not that tough, and it's one thing I didn't do was loaf, and I think that's what they like most about me.
Kelly, lastly, just talk about your favorite memory here at the Rogers Center, the 20th anniversary to this date. What do you remember in particular about this place? What sticks out in your mind?
Well, I remember when it was being built, my wife at that time, Lynn Marie France, she was an Argo Sunshine cheerleader, and she used to take people around and give them tours of this place. I remember that, and I remember getting in here and the first night having a rain delay, which is, the whole reason why we got the dome was that we wouldn't have any rain delays, and of course I remember it being a whole lot warmer.
Kelly, thanks for your time. Congratulations on what was a wonderful career. Good to have you back.
It's great to be back. Thanks.
Jamie, Kelly Gruber.
Sam, thank you so much. What's the story there? What was that, the second or third game in against the Milwaukee Brewers? It started to rain. They closed the roof, except it just didn't close all the way.
No, it just took, obviously, a while to close it. They actually, I think, had to cover the home plate area. Just kind of, we're surprised a little bit.
Little malfunction. Here's Hill picking up the ball on the ground from Butler. First out is in the books. One gone, top of the fourth inning, and a quick scoring change for you. The base hit by Vernon Wells in the third has now been changed. He reaches base on a throwing error by the shortstop, Pena, and still gets credit for the RBI.
But to get back to that for just a moment, Jamie, I think the real story there in that interview is the fact that Kelly didn't know what a cycle was. There's the real story.
Do you believe him?
Yeah, I do.
I do too.
Yeah, I find that. I don't doubt that for a moment.
Hard-nosed player. Fun to watch, too. Right fielder Jose Guillen watches one bounce in front of him. You guys had a rookie on your team that year, a September call-up by the name of John Olerud in 1989.
He turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah, I would say so. This ball is just hammered to left field, and it's foul. Luckily for Ricky Romero. Boy, that shows you the power of Guillen.
Here you get a great look at it from this angle, and it hooks just foul.
So on 2 balls and 2 strikes, Romero's into the windup. Here's the pitch, and he gets Guillen to swing. He strikes out. 2 gone as Romero picks up his second K. Ricky's looked steady so far tonight. 3 2/3 in. He's given up just 2 base hits. This is the Ricky Romero we seem to remember from April.
Good sharp overhand curveball. And that's what can happen when you're ahead in the count, or even, as the case were with Guillen. The count was 2-2. You get hitters to expand the zone.
Mike Jacobs now looks at a strike. He struck out in the second. Here's your DH who leads the Royals in home runs with 9. Tied for the team lead with Billy Butler with 25 runs driven in. He shoots this on the ground for Hill. They had shifted the infield, and Romero picks up a 1-2-3-4. So off to the bottom half with the Blue Jays up 6-0. Rogers Center giveaway this Sunday, the first 10,000 fans, and look, it has a retractable roof. Wonderful stuff. You can put it on the counter with all your bobbleheads. The first 10,000 fans through the turnstiles on Sunday when the Blue Jays finish up this series with the Royals. Remember, most Rogers Plus locations have tickets. You can get them in advance. Roy Halladay gets the start that day for the Blue Jays, who lead Zach Greinke and the Royals 6-0. And if you've just joined us, you're wondering what's the deal here. Well, Toronto has really come out with bats ablaze here against Greinke. It started with a first inning run, a double to lead off by Scudero, and a 2-out base hit by Wells. After 2, it was 2-0 on Overbay's solo home run. And then the Blue Jays last inning score 4 times on 5 hits, including a key 2-run double by Overbay. And this one is scorched to center field. Crisp on the run. He's at the track and makes the catch. So a long fly out by Barajas is the first out of the 4th.
Barajas gets under the ball just a little bit, enough that it stays in the park. I think when he first hit it, he thought it might have a chance, but a pretty routine play for Coco Crisp.
Marcos Scudero with 2 doubles and 2 runs scored came into this game tied for first in the American League with 43 runs scored. He's got 45 now. Hard to figure the start that Scudero got. He hit 5 home runs in the month of April and none in May. His last round tripper, in fact, came in Kansas City against these Royals. That's down the line and fair. Scudero looking for extra bases again. Off to second he goes, and he's 3 for 3 with 3 doubles.
He is having himself some kind of year so far. It's a fastball to his liking, just inside the bag, right over the bag at third base.
And now Hill gets under it. Pops it into shallow center field. Crisp comes in. And as well as the Blue Jays are going tonight, Aaron Hill is not. 0 for 3. And has come up all 3 times with Scudero in scoring position.
Yeah, and being up 6-0 here in the 4th, not trying to move the runner. He gets a breaking ball that stays up for him, and he gets under it. He waited well. They just popped it up to center.
That brings up Alex Rios again, who doubled in a run, facing Greinke in the 3rd. Hill has seen his average now slip down to 312. Waving a miss there, 0-2. Alex gets a double to drive in a run last inning after a 5 strikeout game yesterday against the Angels. He lays off that. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's a rough day. 5 punch outs in a row. You know, you have the sombrero, which is 3, the golden sombrero, which is 4. I have no idea what a 5 is. No one's.
There's 1. He goes down looking there for the 3rd out. End of 4, and it's the Blue Jays 6, the Royals no score. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet.
Rogers Center. I'm joined by Tom Henke, who made some great history here with the course of his career with the Toronto Blue Jays. And Tom, great to have you here. Let's talk a little bit about this place first, and one particular memory that stands out in your mind here at the Skydome, then Rogers Center now.
Well, the opening season's got to stand out in my mind. You know, we came in, we were way down. It was a tough season. Some of us were having a tough year. I in particular, didn't start off the greatest, but, you know, the way we finished that year and winning over Baltimore the last series of the year was something is unforgettable. Of course, the World Series, you know, who can forget that? And the first one here in Canada, and we worked so hard since 1985 to get it, and that has to be the ultimate memory here.
Tom, great story I heard on the radio the other day as Kayaspo grounds to Aaron Hill at second base for the first out in the inning. But tell us about the name Terminator and how that came to prominence.
Well, you know, I came over here in 1985, and a good friend of mine that's passed away since, John Cerruti, and him and I were roommates in Syracuse, and probably my best friend in the game. And we went and watched the movie, The Terminator, when it came out, and he started calling me that down in Syracuse. And when we both got called up here in Toronto, he brought it along with him, and it kind of stuck. And it wasn't a sissy name, so I kind of liked it.
311 saves over the course of your career. You look at guys like Bruce Sutter, Goose Gossage, get into the Hall of Fame. Has thoughts of that ever creep into your mind, knowing that you've achieved that level of 300 or more saves?
You know, I've thought about it. You know, Bruce Sutter and I have become pretty good friends, and he's asked me the same question, why are you not here? And I didn't get enough votes as far as the news writers and the media was concerned to stay on the ballot. But I've got a chance, I think, with the Veterans Committee, which will vote on me after you're out 15 years. You go before the Veterans Committee. So, you know, my numbers speak for themselves. I played the game as hard as I could for as long as I could, and I walked away on top of the game.
You sure did, and we appreciate you being here today. Congratulations on a wonderful career.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Jamie, one of the finest to ever close it out for the Blue Jays, Tom Henke.
Oh, no question there, Sam. And I'm reminded of the interview here that one of the things missing, it seems, from modern-day baseball are good nicknames. The Terminator, Tom Henke. The Crime Dog, Fred McGriff. As Mark Teahan strikes out, quickly 2 down in the 5th inning. Whatever happened to the good nicknames there, Rance?
I don't know. As teammates, we used to just kind of tag one another with a nickname. And I don't know. It doesn't seem like that exists as much anymore.
I'm looking down this Blue Jays lineup, and I don't see a single player with any kind of a creative nickname.
And now that you mention it, I don't either.
Well, let's start working on a few. As the ball is punched out to right field, and Ricky Romero has himself quite a game going here. He's given up just a pair of hits and gets a second consecutive 1-2-3 inning. Bottom of the 5th coming up with Vernon Wells to lead off. Fastest mobile network, 3 times faster than any other. And the Blue Jays' first winning pitcher was a friend of all of us here at Sportsnet, John Cerruti. who won the game on June 7th, 1989, 3 games after the building hosted its first. And boy, do we ever miss John, who passed away near the end of the 04 season, final day of the season here at the building, in fact. Greatly missed by many of us. What a wonderful man he was.
You really got that sense, didn't you, Jamie, when Tom Henke was speaking about his good friend and the one who gave him the name Terminator, and you tell us some emotion, and rightfully so, in his voice.
No question. Sam Cosentino is up manning the headset. Here in the broadcast booth, Rance Mullenix has made his way down to field level. He and the rest of some of these 89 team members will be on the field and honored in the middle of the 6th inning as we're watching Vernon Wells face Zach Greinke. Wells, the first hitter for the Blue Jays here in the bottom of the 5th inning. And what a night for Toronto hitters as the ball is pounded to right field, played by Guillen, and there's one away. And we must say, Sam, that opening night 20 years ago, you were the ball boy for the Blue Jays that night, were you not?
I was, and I can remember when John Gibbons had his office in the clubhouse here before it got renovated, there was a panoramic picture that showed both teams lined up along the line and showed in linear fashion the entire building that night. And it was pretty neat because I could pick myself out of that picture there with a ball glove and hanging out in the Blue Jays uniform down the right field line. And it was pretty neat. And you know, Jamie, you remember you went to the exhibition a lot when you were young. Mm-hmm. I missed it because I got to sit in the bullpen with the guys there. When we came here, of course, I was all alone, and the bullpen moved out behind the wall and right.
Now, if you want to talk to members of the bullpen, you have to scream at them.
You got to scream at them.
You got to get a
or
first
a walkie-talkie.
Sure. But back in those days, you could sit right above people like Dan Quisenberry, who I befriended over the years when he was relieving for the Royals, and have long conversations with Major League ball players if you bought the right ticket. It was incredible.
That was neat, the old place. You missed it, of course, and the one thing you surely didn't miss was the weather. You know, those April and September games, just freezing. I remember layering up 3 and 4 different layers.
Here's Lynn socking it to left field and hitting it well. Bloomquist takes a look, and she is gone. Oh, my, Adams on fire. Don't look now, but the Blue Jays are lighting up Zach Greinke.
And you just have to wonder, Jamie, with even the outs that have been made in this game have been balls that have been hit extremely hard. And you have to wonder if they haven't picked something up from Greinke. And here, just displaying that power, fastball up in the zone. Lynn stays right with it, displaying that opposite field power. Just like that, it's 7-0, and the unexpected has become expected here tonight.
So Adam picks up his 9th, makes it a 7-0 game. Sam Cosentino is with us as Rance Mullenix has joined his old teammates from the 1989 team, and they've gone downstairs to be honored in the middle of the 6th inning. And I'm sure a few of them are awfully impressed with what they're seeing offensively here from the Blue Jays as Scott Rowland rips it foul.
Well, Dwayne Ward was really in tune with what Greinke had done to this point in the season. And, you know, we were talking about it during one of the commercial breaks. 88 strikeouts to just 12 walks coming into this game, and the ERA just over 1 at 110. And to be able to do what the Blue Jays have done here tonight is it's pretty exciting.
He's had himself quite a year, made the cover of Sports Illustrated, has been the talk of baseball. When the Blue Jays rolled into Kansas City in late April, he had gone 43 consecutive innings without allowing an earned run. And the Blue Jays were sort of high and mighty in getting one against him in that game in April, and then ended up losing it 11-3. And really the only rough outing that Brian Tallett has had as a starter this year. But here's a little payback, 7-0 in the 5th. And Scott Rowland, one of the few Blue Jays without a hit so far, he's 0 for 2. Home runs in the game from Overbay and Lind. Keep in mind, Greinke had come into this one with a run of 110 consecutive innings without giving up a home run. And he's already given up 2. And here's a stroke to right field, perfectly placed for Guillen. And that's out number 2.
You know, the same thing can be said about that ball. Hit pretty hard the opposite way by Scott Rowland. And Guillen's been pretty busy out there and right. He's getting worn out.
Boy, and you can bet, Sam, that the way the Blue Jays are hitting Zach Greinke, a lot of teams that the Royals will face from here on in will use this one as sample video as to what to do against the right-hander.
it happens on occasion, Jamie. You know, if you're able to pick up his pitches, that spreads like wildfire throughout the dugout. And before you know it, it's that tipping of the glove, the turning of the glove, how high the glove comes up on a particular pitch. And Major League hitters show no mercy once they're able to generate that information and spread it throughout the rest of the dugout to their teammates. I'm not saying that that's the case here tonight, but you know, you'd have to wonder with how hard the Blue Jays are hitting the ball right now.
Well, Overbay has had himself a night. A home run in the second, a 2-run double in the third. He's driven in 3. Takes a strike there, 1 and 2. The Blue Jays dropped the final 2 games of that series against the Los Angeles Angels and faced 2 very good starters in the last 2 games of the series. They had it handed to them by Jared Weaver on Wednesday and then had a tough time getting their hits yesterday against John Lackey. They must have felt, geez, coming into this first game of the Kansas City series, we have to deal with Zach Greinke, but they have dealt with him and scored against him 7 times, in fact, here in the bottom of the 5th.
That'll test your mettle. I mean, 3 great starting pitchers in a row, and you just happen to be, you know, with your team, Halladay not getting the opportunity to face any of them, which is usually the situation you like to be in.
There's ball 4. So Greinke walks his first man tonight. And now a little bit of concern over there in the Kansas City Royals dugout. Pitching coach Bob McClure is keeping an eye on not only the number of pitches, but perhaps location and velocity and everything else. They're not used to seeing this. Horacio Ramirez continues to warm.
It's one of those nights where if you're in the bullpen, you're probably saying, it's going to be a night off. We can just sit up here and relax. But obviously that's not the case here tonight for the Royals.
Here's Millar, 0 for 2. Overbay's checked at first. If you're thinking of coming down for any of the games this weekend, tomorrow afternoon, 1 o'clock, Scott Richmond goes likely against Luke Hochevar, who will be called up from the AAA affiliate of the Royals. And then Sunday's game has right-hander Kyle Davies going for Kansas City and Roy Halladay, who's now 9-1, replying for the Blue Jays. 2 balls and no strikes. Millar the batter. Here's the pitch, and that's down for ball 3. He gets a strike. Fastball ripped toward right field, and Guillen is there. He puts it away for the 3rd out, but the Blue Jays add 1 more on Adam Lynn's solo home run. And after 5 innings, it's the Blue Jays 7 and the Royals no score. members of the Fan 590 sports radio team. I'm Jamie Campbell with Sam Cosentino. Heinz Mullenix is here, but he's getting ready to be honored on the field. Top of the 6th inning, and Tony Pena is the batter. Pena's in for the injured Mike Aviles. Aviles has been shut down for a couple of weeks due to a strained right forearm. And here's Pena hitting only .056. As much as the Blue Jays have scored 7 times against Zach Greinke tonight, they've also received very good pitching from that man, Ricky Romero. So far, 5 innings of work. Hasn't allowed a run. He's given up just 2 hits.
And you know, when he got off to came up and got off to that pretty good start, the Blue Jays really started to lean on this guy and rely on him as a number 2 guy. And it's a situation now where he comes back off the DL, struggles a little bit. His confidence has to be wavering, knowing how much competition there is for the starting spots. When you look at Cecil and Jansen and the possibility of guys coming back, whether Litch is in that scenario or not. And this is equally, I agree with you, important a start for Romero as it would be for the Blue Jays to get all those runs.
And confidence is really what had Ricky pitching well in the early part of the season. It's something he may have lacked to a degree around the middle of March when Brad Arnsberg came to him and made some mechanical adjustments, but he got off to that tremendous start. He beat Rick Porcello in his major league debut in this building April 9th. Picked up a victory against the Oakland A's. Had an 8-inning affair in Minnesota in a no decision. And worked through in his 3rd and final start before going on the disabled list, worked through the oblique injury that he admitted later really started to affect him in the 2nd start in Minneapolis. So here he is after spending time on the disabled list and a short while in AAA, coming back struggling mightily in the first 2 games, one in Baltimore and most recently Sunday against Boston, and coming out here matched against perhaps the best pitcher other than Roy Halladay in the American League. And he's beating him 7-0, and he just got himself a ground ball double play.
And it has to be hit that hard in order to turn the double play on Coco Crisp. Put those good wheels down to first base. But Marco Scutaro has been a marvel, not just at the plate, but in the field. A one-hopper right into his glove, and Aaron Hill makes quick work of that. And you can see how quickly Crisp gets down the line, but still a half a step beaten on the relay from Scutaro to Hill.
That draws a smile from Aaron and applause from 15,435. That's the paid attendance tonight here at Rogers Center. First pitch to the number 2 hitter, Willie Bloomquist, is a strike, and we'd like to wish a happy 87th birthday tonight to Bob Turner, who's watching up in Owen Sound, Ontario. And watching as Willie Bloomquist swings and misses, 0-2. Bloomquist comes into this game hitting .327 against left-handers. And he has one of only 2 hits against Romero tonight. In a hole here, though. 0-2. Breaking ball hit out to right field. Rios to his right, puts it away. And it's an easy inning for Ricky Romero. He's looked good over 6 for the Blue Jays.
Liriano, Mookie Wilson, Rance Mullinax, Kelly Gruber, Dwayne Ward, Jesse Barfield, Mike Flanagan, and Tom Hinkie.
Cito Gaston, who took over from Jimmy Williams when the team got off to a terrible start in '89, is back out onto the field and offering up hugs to people like Tony Fernandez and Rance Mullinax. Nelson Liriano is there. There's Jesse Barfield. Members of the '89 team honored here tonight on the 20th birthday of the Sky Dome. We can call it the Sky Dome once again, I guess, on a night like tonight.
They're having a blast up there in that suite, just reliving old memories, getting a chance to watch what goes on the scoreboard here between innings, seeing some of their fine work being replayed over again. You know, baseball is a funny game in that you play with teammates 5, 6, 7 years, they retire, they move on to other teams, and you don't seem to keep in contact with those guys. But it's situations like this where they're reunited going back to '89 to allow them to get back together again as Horatio Ramirez comes in out of the bullpen to replace Zach Greinke.
What a night for the Blue Jays. They're flashing back to a great team that played here 20 years ago, and they're putting together a whooping on one of the best in the American League. Zach Greinke gone after 5 innings of work as Ramirez comes in. The left-handers facing Rod Barajas. And the Blue Jays this year become the first team to really knock Greinke around. He departs, giving up 7 runs, 5 of them earned. And they've got a comfortable lead as the one-time starter Ramirez comes out of the bullpen.
Well, Jamie, you had an inkling that it might be just a touch easier for the Blue Jays in this game. You go back to Greinke's last start Sunday against Chicago. He had 91 pitches through 5 innings, 101 here tonight.
Hit to center field by Barajas. Crisp with great speed gets over in time to make the out. And there's 1 gone in the 6th inning. So here is the line on Zach Greinke. 5 earned runs over 5 innings. And believe it or not, his ERA now jumps from 1.10 to, Sam, an awfully impressive 1.55. It still looks tremendous. It still leads the American League. But that's quite a jump for a pitcher like this.
Yeah, that's it's a huge victory to this point for the Toronto Blue Jays to be able to do that off arguably the best pitcher in the American League to this point. I mean, you'll get your arguments about Roy Halladay, and no question he's in that conversation, but he's just so good and has been so good for so long that at times people forget about Roy. They forget about Roy Halladay and what he's been able to do. And so a relative newcomer when it comes to the situation, battling the depression that Greinke went through and coming back and kind of restarting his career. That's a good story. It's a great story.
A wonderful story. If you're not familiar with it, as Ramirez faces Marcos Scutaro, a 3-for-3 night for Scutaro, and he takes strike 1. All 3 of them doubles. Greinke in spring training 2006 essentially decided he was finished with baseball after he was the 6th overall pick in the '02 draft. He went to the general manager of the Royals at the time, Allard Baird, and said, "I'm done." And was later diagnosed with what turned into really a bout with clinical depression. And he just didn't have any interest in baseball anymore. And the Royals must be applauded for the way they handled Greinke. Gave him some time, gave him some space, and gave him every opportunity to change his mind and deal with his problems. He did. He came back, and he's paid off.
You're right, Jamie. I mean, it's a huge compliment to the organization to stick with a guy, and oftentimes you invest the kind of time and money you do into a first-round pick, and you expect that player to return on that investment. And for Greinke, they worked with him. They offered him all the support he needed on and off the field, gave him as much time as he needed to come back and get him to a place where he was comfortable out in the mound in front of the crowds, in the clubhouse with his teammates. And you know, it's a wonderful story to this point in the season, no question about it, and will continue to be. You just look at his stuff and you see, how can this guy not be successful throughout the rest of the season?
There's Aaron Hill, 0 for 23. Grounds it sharply to third, picked up by Tien. He goes to second and is pulled off the bag. Scudero is safe as the throw from Tien pulls the second baseman Callaspo off the bag.
And he double clutched it, did Tien, and by doing so, that threw off his timing, not just to get one up, but to try and get two. Watch how he double pumps here. That throws off his timing, and now that throw goes high, pulls him off the bag. Clearly a good call there. Callaspo has to get airborne to try and make this catch. Scudero slides in safely, and Bob Davidson, the second base umpire, all over it. And you can see him raising his hands at the end of that replay to signify that, yes, he indeed lifted his foot off the bag.
And the Royals commit their third error of the night. So it's first and second, one away. Alex Rios, 1 for 3. He doubled in a run in the third. Here's the 0-1 pitch, Ramirez, and it's down for ball one. Alex flied out softly to right field his first time up. Came up with one down, and Scudero at second in the third and promptly doubled him home. In the fourth, he struck out. Here it's the sixth inning. 2 men on. The pitch is grounded to the shortstop, Pena. It's a 6-4-3 double play that ends the sixth. A 7-0 lead. Toronto will return on Rogers Sportsnet after this. Welcome back to Rogers Center on the 20th anniversary of the inception of this building, if you will. The first game lost to the Milwaukee Brewers, and Rance Mulliniks was the designated hitter that night and was just down on field level as Billy Butler singles into center. How did that feel to be in front of a large gathering with some of your old teammates from '89?
It was a great feeling, and the fans gave us just a wonderful reception, a standing ovation, and a lot of cheering. And you know, you forget how loud it can be down there on the field, but to be able to line up just, you know, again on that third base line and have that type of reception is a special feeling.
It's weird that it's been 20 years. I mean, so many of us who were around at that time, and certainly fans watching at home who were with the Blue Jays from the time they played at Exhibition Stadium, remember the construction of the building, the idea of the building, the thought that, my goodness, we might be able to go and see a game even though it's -5 and raining in Toronto in April. And now 20 years later, here we are, and this team has won 2 World Series titles during those years, as it's lifted high and deep to left field, and the ball is carrying out of here. In fact, a home run, a 2-run shot. Jose Guillen puts the Royals on the board. It's a 7-2 game.
And his last at bat, Guillen struck out on a hard breaking ball in the dirt. And you almost sense that he was sitting on this one because it's not a bad pitch. It's down pretty good, and he just goes down and drives it out of the ballpark.
So Guillen picks up his 6th home run. And team tying 25th RBI, and this one's hit well as well. Vernon Wells looking up, and it's gone. Back-to-back home runs by the Royals. It's now a 4-run lead. So here's Romero, who was sailing right along through 6. And he begins the 7th with a base hit and 2 home runs.
Now, good hitters make the adjustment, and Jacobs, prior to this at bat, had a lot of trouble with the curveball all night. And again, it was a curveball up in the strike zone, but clearly not fooled by it was Jacobs. He was all over it.
And he is the first Royal into double digits with his 10th home run. So without getting an out here in the 7th, Romero sees a 7-run lead shrink to 4. And Alberto Callaspo, the second baseman, 0 for 2, stands in.
And good hitters with some determination. If you've made them look bad a couple of times with a particular pitch, they'll eventually get around to saying, you know, he might get me out, but he's not going to get me out with that curveball again. I'm going to look for it. I think that's been the case here with Guillen and Jacobs in the 7th inning.
It's funny how a couple of home runs will get the bullpen active. Jason Frazier is up and throwing down in the left field bullpen for the Jays. Romero with the 2-2 pitch. And a tough hop for Hill. He chases after the loose ball and still gets the runner. What was the key there, Rance?
Well, the fact that he got his body in front of a ball that was hit very hard by Callaspo. First priority is keep it in front of you, knock it down. If you can't handle it cleanly, Aaron Hill did that, able to recover and get the out.
One gone for Mark Teahen. Ball 1. Teahen grounded out to third his first time up and then struck out in the 5th. He shoots this one, taken by Hill from his knees, throws out Teahen. What a play!
He may be struggling with a bat, but he has been outstanding here defensively tonight. This is the 3rd outstanding play that Aaron Hill has made. I believe one of these days Aaron Hill's going to win a Gold Glove or 2. Great play from the knees, strike right to Overbay. Well, that'll really give your pitcher a lift.
Back comes Olivo, the catcher. It was Olivo who hit a 3-run home run against David Percy April 27th in Kansas City that broke open a 2-1 Kansas City lead, made it a 5-1 game. The Royals in that series were certainly homer happy and won 3 of 4 against the Jays. They were the first team, in fact, to take a series from Toronto. Here's the 1-1 from Romero, chopped foul by Olivo. Kansas City's #1 catcher, John Buck, is on the disabled list. So they've got former Atlanta Brave Brian Pena on the bench, serving as a backup now to Olivo. The 1-2 pitch in the dirt, and he goes after it, but the ball scoots so far away from Barajas, he'll make it to safely, or make it to first safely. So Olivo is on base after a wild pitch is uncorked by Romero.
Curveball, hard curveball, well out in front of the plate. That must have hit 3 or 4 feet out in front of the plate. Barajas did everything he could to try to corral it, but unable to do so. And when you swing at a pitch that far out in front of the plate, either you're not seeing the baseball very well or you've just made up your mind you're going to swing. Pitch was not even close.
So here's the light hitting Pena, and he looks at a strike. (7-3) Toronto, and a chopper over the mound. At the bag is Hill. He's got the force, and that's it for the Royals, though they score 3 times. Back-to-back home runs, in fact, one by Jose Guillen, and then a solo drive to center by Mike Jacobs. And Motors. Well, the story of this game unquestionably, Rance, is the Blue Jays' ability to get to Zach Greinke.
Yes, they took advantage of some mistakes this evening. Of course, Marco Scutaro, the great night offensively. Home run from Overbay, Lynn. Greinke wasn't real sharp this evening, and the Jays made him pay.
Let's see if Vernon Wells and company can tack on a few more here. Try and get some of those runs back given up by Romero in the top of the inning. Here's a bouncer to third that backs up Tien. He goes to first in time to get Vernon. Vernon had the day off yesterday, so Adam Lynn hit fourth for the Blue Jays and went 5 for 5. He's continued a nice effort tonight with a 2 for 3 at the plate, a single and a home run. He knocked one over the fence in left. An opposite field shot in the 5th off Greinke. Ramirez opens with a strike. Adam fouls it off his foot. 0-2.
And his only out in this game this evening, and at first at bat was a line drive to center field. It was hit just as hard as either one of his base hits.
He's now just 2 home runs short of matching his single season high of 11 as he waves and misses there on the outside. So Lynn goes down for out number 2, and that brings up Scott Rowland. Kelly Gruber, the new public address man here at Rogers Center. An old third baseman announces the arrival of the new one. Rowland is 0 for 3. Lines it to left field, and the catch is made by Bloomquist, and Ramirez gets a 1-2-3 7th. By MakeIt7.ca. Help bring a 7th NHL team to Canada. 7 strong innings pitched by Ricky Romero tonight. He gave up 3 in his final inning of work and departs with an opportunity to win his 3rd game of the season.
Overall this evening, you'd have to say that Ricky Romero and the Jays are pleased with his performance. A couple of mistakes in the top of the 7th led to a couple of home runs, but did a much better job of throwing strikes tonight. Made a lot of quality pitches, just the 2 walks. His command was better than most certainly his first 2 starts since returning from the disabled list.
And so the 31-year-old from Oak Forest, Illinois, Jason Fraser, comes on to pitch. Jason makes his 21st appearance for the Blue Jays. Well, look at the numbers here, and perhaps the key is he struck out 15 and only walked 3 in 18 2/3.
Frazier's always had a good arm, outstanding stuff, but at times has had trouble with his control. Throws very hard, can hit 93, 94, good slider, and at times can have a very good split finger fastball. I think any pitcher, maybe not any, but most would say that if it were just stuff or location, if they could have one or the other, it meant, even if it meant giving up a little bit of stuff, if they could have great command and pitch to both sides of the plate, move the ball around, I think they would go with the control side.
Seems to be what Greg Maddux was able to do over the course of his career.
Look at Halladay.
Yep.
And I mean, Halladay has excellent stuff. There's no question. But we've seen guys over the years that, you know, threw just as hard, had as good a curveball, but didn't have that type of control, and therefore not that type of success. This is a situation here where, you know, you're up by 4. You want Crisp to hit his way aboard.
He gets jammed and flies it out to center field. And Crisp is gone. Hey, the Major League Draft is coming up on Tuesday. In fact, it's stretched over a couple of days this year. And you can sign up now to receive text alerts on the Blue Jays' first 5 picks live on your mobile phone. All you have to do is text the word draft to short code 707070, keeping in mind that standard message rates apply. The Blue Jays, I believe, have 5 picks inside the first 3 rounds.
Have any idea who they might want to pick first?
Well, at 20th overall, and this seems to be the way things work in the big league draft, unless you have one of the first 5 picks, you might have a very good idea of what you're looking at. But as some of the scouts and front office people will tell you, they're going to take the best available at that time. Here's a soft liner, and Bloomquist is gone.
That's rather obvious.
Well,
the best available at that time. Okay.
Yeah, it's an obvious statement, but it's about the best you can do in the Major League Draft. Because to be honest,
who would they like to have? In an ideal world, if it gets down to them and somebody that they would really like to have is still around for whatever reason, have they disclosed who that might be?
No, they haven't. I can tell you who they want.
Well, who everybody wants.
They want
probably.
Steven Strasburg.
Who wouldn't?
Who's the right-hander out of San Diego State, but they're not going to get him.
Okay, you have to believe he's going to be the first pick in the country.
So let me repeat myself. They'll take the best available, yeah. Rance, at number 20.
Okay. I promise you there's probably 4 or 5 guys that they think there's a pretty good possibility that they might have a chance at. They're just not going to disclose it.
There's a high fly ball to center field. Butler hits this one well, but it stays in the park. And Jason Frazier gets himself 1-2-3 inning. Tweeting, you can get real-time information direct from the club, receive information on player transactions, ticket and merchandise offers, roof status, and a whole lot more by staying connected at twitter.com/Blue Jays. Now there's something that wasn't around when this building opened. I'm talking about Twitter, not the moon.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, you talk about the moon. I think it was. I was around.
You look stunned for a second. Here's the in-game box score, Rance.
Well, Marco Scudero outstanding again this evening in the leadoff spot with a 3 doubles. Alex Rios with an RBI double, and Adam Lynn having another good night. He's hit 3 balls very hard. And Lyle Overbay with a home run and a 2-run double that really kind of broke this game open for the Jays.
Here's one of those late free agent signings, Juan Cruz, who only inked a deal with the Royals on the 28th of February. Seems there were a few players who became free agents and didn't hook on until late in the offseason. Cruz was certainly one of them as he faces Lyle Overbay. Cruz had an outstanding year with Arizona last year, going 4-0 in 57 games. He had a 2.61 ERA. First came up with the Chicago Cubs back in 2001. Of a wiry build, 6'2", he weighs about 165. Really throws that ball hard. He faces the bottom of the order here in the Jays' half of the 8th inning. Overbay followed by Millar, and then Rod Barajas. Overbay waits on a breaking ball and puts it in the seats. So it's 0-2 on Lyle, who has homered, doubled, and walked. The kick and the pitch from Cruz. Fastball off the plate, 2-2. The pitch. And Olivos had a tough night.
And Overbay seeing the ball very well. The last pitch was a changeup and a good one after back-to-back fastballs at a 94, 95, and he's still able to get a piece of it and stay alive, keep the bat alive. This type of pitch, when you're not seeing it well, when you're not in a good groove, it will completely fool you, strike you out, make you look bad oftentimes.
Scott Downs is ready for work. He watches from the pen as Cruz faces Lyle Overbay. 2-2. That ball is up according to Mark Carlson, and it's a full count on Overbay.
Looked like a pretty good pitch. I guess Carlson maybe had it up just a little bit.
That's a good looking pitch. It strikes out Overbay. And it's time now for the play of the game. Presented by Burger King, home of the Whopper. And for that, we go back to Overbay facing Greinke, second inning. And a shot to center field that did not come back. The first home run that Greinke had given up in 111 innings. It gave the Blue Jays a 2-0 lead. And that is our play of the game presented by Burger King. Kevin Millar is 0 for 3. He's the DH tonight. Waggles the bat, looks at a pitch off the plate, 1-1. like the Blue Jays, the Royals have had to watch their closer Joakim Soria go on the disabled list for a time this year. He's back and healthy and pitching out of the bullpen. In his absence, Juan Cruz got a chance to close out some games, and in fact did in the last game the Blue Jays played in Kansas City.
Well, the young man on the mound definitely has the stuff to be a closer. Not real consistent. This is the second time, and the 2 hitters that he's faced, he's went to a 3-2 count. And of course, coming into this ball game, had walked 14, pitching out of the bullpen in the early going. That's an indication of a lot of wildness going deep into the counts. And if you're going to be a closer, you've got to be able to come into the game and make quality pitches right away. You just can't be the type of guy that comes in and either struggles with his command and gets behind or makes a mistake in the strike zone. And that's something that closers don't get enough credit for, their ability to make a lot of quality pitches from the moment they come into the ball game on a very consistent basis.
Now times have changed. I think this is a Scott Carson creation.
Buckethead. That's Fred McGriff. Razor's myself. Bakefield's Barfield, obviously. Cabeza was Tony.
And the Terminator, of course, we heard from. So, of course,
and everybody's become
Scott
a hockey
comes
player.
up with, yeah, that's right. Wellesley, Lindsay, Hilly, Downsy, and Duck. All right, well, at least Scott got creative. I dare you to come up with one for Rod Barajas.
That was good. That was good, Scotty. That was outstanding.
Those were classic Canadian hockey style nicknames, weren't they?
Just add an IE or a Y and you got it.
Hammer to left field. Line shot, headed for the wall, and up and over it goes. The 3rd home run the Blue Jays have hit tonight. And that extends the lead. It's now 8-3. I stand corrected. 9-3.
Looked like a hanging breaking ball to Rod Barajas, and he jumps all over it. Just a question of if it's going to have enough air under it to clear the wall in left field. Ball hit very hard.
A 2-run shot for Barajas.
Of course, Lloyd Mosby was the shaker.
The shaker.
He inherited that, or was given that in high school because of his ability playing basketball to get loose, free from defenders.
Did George Bell have a nickname?
That's a good question.
I'm not sure he did.
I don't think George did. Not one that we gave him. You know, at ESPN highlights, they called him George Taco Bell, but we can't take credit for that.
I think the first George Bell baseball card I ever had actually had his first name spelled with a J.
Which is wrong. He actually is George. You know, in Spanish, George is Jorge.
Yes.
But he was actually George. I know this much. For a while here in this ballpark, he had a 6 a.m. fan club for a while.
He did?
Yeah, he did.
A 6 a.m. fan club.
Yeah, well, what happened was he was having a tough time, and the fans were getting on him a little bit, booing him. And after a game one evening, he was asked his thoughts about that, and he said, you know, I don't have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and carry a lunch pail to work. And the very next night, you know, of course, back then in the day, this place was packed. Over here around the left field foul pole in the upper deck, they had taped a sign that said George Bell's 6 a.m. fan club.
Callaspo over at the line. And Scudero goes down on the pop-up.
He also added a little flavor to that but we can't use it on the air.
Here's Aaron Hill, 0 for 4. Wouldn't he love to get a base hit right about now? I learned my first Spanish word from George Bell when I was a lot younger. I asked him for an autograph once, and he kept saying "Mañana, mañana, mañana." Never explained what it meant, so I went home and looked it up. Tomorrow. Never did get that signature.
That's a fastball that just gets away from pitcher. Almost got Aaron Hill. He quickly turned away from it.
Aaron trying to break out of an 0 for 24 slide. The 1-1 pitch. He gets a piece and fouls it back. Strikes out again. That's 2 times for Aaron tonight, and 0 for 5 at this point. He'll be happy, though, that his team is leading. 9-3 is the score after Barajas goes deep. The Jays on Rogers Sportsnet. Brought to you by MakeIt7.ca. Help bring a 7th NHL team to Canada. New man on the hill for the Blue Jays is Scott Downs. He comes in with a comfortable lead. The Blue Jays up 9-3 on Kansas City, and this the opener of a 3-game series. Downs pitching in his 23rd game. Sees that ball drift out into the seats in right field. As we look at the in-game box score, we notice that the man at the plate, Jose Guillen, has a 2-run home run in this ball game. The Royals scored 3 times in the 7th on a single, and then back-to-back home runs by Guillen and then Mike Jacobs. Beyond that, nothing much to speak of against Ricky Romero, who goes an impressive 7 innings after 2 rocky starts and gives up 3 runs on 5 hits. Jason Frazier pitched a clean 8th, and now Downs is on in the 9th. 9-3 Toronto. 7 of the runs coming against starter Zach Greinke. 5 of them earned. 0-2. The pitch gets Guillen.
Second time this evening that Guillen has chased a breaking ball in the dirt to strike out.
Mike Jacobs, and a bouncer taken behind the bag by Scudero. Quickly 2 out in the 9th inning. This would serve as a nice turn of fortune for the Blue Jays, who lost their final 2 games in the 3-game set against Los Angeles and knew they were going up against a good one tonight in Zach Greinke. But as you saw, they had little problem with a man who came into this game 8-1 on the year. And now Downs, with 1 more out, can secure a 31st win for the Blue Jays on the season. Alberto Callaspo is 0 for 3. Here's the 2-0 pitch from Downs, and Callaspo gets a piece. A quick turnaround for both clubs. They'll play an afternoon game here tomorrow at 1 Eastern time. We'll have it for you on Sportsnet. Many of the 15,000 or so still here are on their feet. Downs with a 2-1 pitch. Now 3 balls and a strike. After the game, Sportsnet Connected, Sean McCormick and Martine Geyer are standing by back at the studio, and they'll set you up for what has turned into a very good final series in the Stanley Cup Finals. Pittsburgh and Detroit knotted at 2. A preview upcoming of tomorrow's 5th game. Downs with a payoff, and here it comes inside, ball 4. He walks Callaspo. So Mark Teahen 0 for 3, robbed of a base hit by Aaron Hill in the 7th inning. That's with a man on here in the 9th. That must be the rally lion.
Well,
strikes.
The Jays, there you get a look at it. I think that's supposed to be a rally killer in this instance. They went through a very tough 16-17 ball games. They did take 2 out of 3 from the Red Sox over the weekend. And maybe this is the game here tonight that gets them turned around and back to playing good, consistent baseball. 1
strike away. Downs gets his sign from Barajas. 0-2. Here's the pitch, and he got him. Game over. The Blue Jays are the first team in the American League to really knock around Zach Greinke. They get to him for 7 runs, 5 earned, and defeat the young right-hander who came in 8-1 on the year. A 9-3 victory. The hits were timely, the pitching was good, and the Blue Jays have won their 31st of the year. For Rance Mullenix, Sam Cosentino, and Scott Carson, I'm Jamie Campbell. We'll return momentarily.